Well, good morning. Welcome to the autopsy of her healing, evolving resiliency. I am Iris Denise Owens, and on the line with me today, my beautiful sister and my co-host is
Stephanie Deani Green. Good
Hey, Honey
morning.
Bunny. Good morning,
Hey,
Honey
honey bunny.
Bunny. How you
How you
doing?
doing? I'm
I'm
doing
great.
wonderful.
We're both like talking, so we're like mirroring one another. You said, "How
I
you
know we are.
doing?"
It's true.
Well,
That's funny.
that is funny. So,
That is.
um, I am so happy to see you. Good to see your beautiful face today.
I'm happy to see you too. I love that dress. That's gorgeous.
Well, thank you so very much. I thought I would get a little jazzier today.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. That is absolutely beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
the iris behind you, iris. I mean, you know.
Yes, I'm setting the mood. I'm setting the mood.
Looking fabulous as usual.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I am going to go ahead and get us jump started here. We've been talking, a lot about just life in general. We've talked about general things. We just did a celebration to dads last week, which I think was really, really awesome. I loved that whole entire conversation that we had. It was absolutely beautiful. And I hope that our listeners get a chance to tune in and please share it with others because we really, really felt good about it. And I hope that we inspire some dads and who may have been questioning themselves or some dads who have some things to work on. We hope that we inspired you to make some positive moves.
Definitely.
But today we want to talk about, what's the title? What's the title that I carry? And we're talking about as a woman, what's my
Mhm.
title? You know, we are graced with the title of wife, daughter, mother, friend, whatever your career title is, girlfriend, best friend, BFF.
Mhm.
We have all these titles, but the question for me and the question for us and the question for you is what's the title that you want to be remembered as? Now, don't get me wrong, being a daughter, being a mother, being a wife, being a good friend, being just a great human being
Mhm.
is absolutely a title. But I also always wonder, and for me, my hunger is always my chase, my go to is always
Mhm.
what's the impact that I want to leave on this earth? Right? What is it that I really want to be remembered for? Now, of course, I want my children to sing my praises.
That would be wonderful.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I want my children to sing my praises. So I know my children know that already. So, yes. And so I work hard to give them things and love and care and examples so that they will not have to feel pressed to do that, that it will just automatically show through who they are as human beings and as they get older, how they show up in life.
Mhm.
So that part I'm not concerned about, but I am concerned about, as I said, what is the footprint that I leave in this world? And as a woman, I do feel like many times there's a struggle in the balance of what hats we wear, what title we own, and what's our walk and how we show up, because many
Mhm.
times we are put in situations where we have to choose which one comes first, you know
Yes,
from
true.
from chasing our dreams or completing our education or completing our career goals. And sometimes we have to put things, for lack of a better word, on a back burner. And I
Mhm.
was listening to a report of the number of women during COVID who literally left the workforce.
Yep.
and not by choice,
Mhm.
but left the workforce. Um, Either because, listen, with school being closed, there
Mhm.
may not have been anyone else to be at home with your
With your
children,
child. Mhm.
right?
Exactly. With your children. Mhm.
Or maybe your job was frozen,
Mhm.
and not because you're a woman, but just because your job may have been frozen based on maybe what you did in your company or in your career. You may not have been considered an essential worker.
Mhm.
And sometimes, and that's a key word, sometimes I feel like as women, there are places where we feel like we're not essential.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
And I think maybe that's why I focus so much on making sure I go after those things. Like when something comes up in my spirit, and Steph can attest to this, I, I if it burns in my soul, I'm going for it.
Oh
I
yeah,
I
that's true. That's for
I
sure.
am going for it. If I'm dreaming about it, if it keeps coming up, if I start seeing commercials about it, and it's
Mhm.
like these subliminal messages keep coming at me, I'm like, okay, that's God speaking. And
Exactly.
I
Uh-huh.
could try my best to ignore it, but typically I don't, because of I eventually feel like this is something I feel I must do and I have to do.
Mhm.
So, Steph, you're an entrepreneur. You've been an entrepreneur for as long as I've known you, right?
Yeah, that's 26 years.
Yeah, 26 years. But you were an entrepreneur even before I met you, right?
Exactly. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, what do you like? What's your thoughts about that in terms of like how we show up and these titles that we wear?
Well, I can tell you with me, as definitely with me being an entrepreneur, it was no doubt. My mother was an entrepreneur. My mother always had her own business.
Mm-hmm.
My mom who adopted me, I grew up in the back of her hair salon. That's where I took my first footsteps. So I could not ever imagine not, you know, definitely with God, but creating my own pathway to go and work for somebody else. That was never going to work for me.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And so that it was just in me, you know. I mean, I did do corporate America after college and things like that, but I always had a business. I
Mm-hmm.
started hustling. We talked the other day. You was like saying
About
that your
hustling,
friends called
yes.
you a hustler, and
Yes.
you were offended. I call myself a hustler.
Yes,
I
yes.
never forget my son said to me one day. He had to be like 4 or 5. He said, "Mommy, what do you do?" I said, Mommy's a hustler." Then he said to me, he said, "Mommy, did you always want to be a hustler with you?" And so I told him, yeah, I hustle different things. And
Right.
then when he looked at his mom, he said, "Because you're not a hustler like mommy." He said, "Oh, I'm a hustler just because I only do one thing don't mean I'm not a hustler."
Right, right, right.
But I see my mother, like that. So I started like selling jewelry when I was 6 years old.
Yes.
I would make this jewelry out of rocks and go to house and sell it. I was doing fashion shows in my backyard when I was 7, and I started designing clothes. I was selling and making money doing clothes by the time I was 13.
Wow.
So it was in me to do that. But and also definitely wanted to be a wife and a mother and all those things.
Mhm.
But I read this book years ago called A Woman of Substance.
Mhm. Yes.
A great book.
Yes.
And I loved her. The character's name was Emma Hart. And that was like, and she did all those things. And I always knew I wanted to be a woman of substance.
I love that. A woman of substance. I think that's what we're going to check. We're going to deem this a woman of substance. I like that.
And this woman was phenomenal. She had her children. I mean, and she created this phenomenal department store that sold everything where all the rich and famous came to purchase in London. And it was just, and I was like, that's, when you put all those things together that you're able to achieve. And I do like, don't get me wrong, I feel that you can achieve everything that you want to achieve, just not all at the same time.
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely.
So it's like it's a dance. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like you may be over here with this dance. Okay, I didn't finish that part. Let me get over here. You know, so it is. You know, and it goes like that. So you can do it. I mean, you definitely need the support, but you can definitely achieve all your goals. It's just you can't have them all at the same time
Right.
and
And
make it work.
and I think that that's a very important piece to realize that, yes. So that's where the fact that sometimes we do have to divert things.
Hmm.
Um, the dream becomes deferred at
Hmm.
times, or it's delayed, but it doesn't
Hmm.
mean it's denied. And
Exactly.
and I think it's very important for us to remember when we have to make those hard, fast decisions about, okay, maybe I cannot continue doing this right now, and I need to just turn this around and do something differently. It doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to come back to it. And the same way we make plans for our goals, we have to then turn around and make goals when the plan has to be reverted or has to be diverted or changed. So
Exactly.
so this way you give yourself milestones. And I think with anything, when you write a goal down or when you put it in front of you and you have verbally put it to, pen to paper, it makes it more feasible, and it makes it more
Exactly. Mhm.
attainable, because then you could work out the things that could be, more diversions or fall traps that could take you in another direction. But I think if you have it written down, then you can say, okay, in this, if this happens, then this needs to happen. And then if that doesn't happen, then this needs to happen.
Exactly.
Um, because it's very, sometimes it's daunting when you're speaking to women, especially women sometimes, not all, and it's not always older women, it's younger women who have that feeling that there is nothing more for them to do,
Yeah.
and it's very saddening for my heart when I meet a young lady, and I ran into a young lady a couple of months ago. I was in the store, and I was buying some sectional compartments for food for my daughter
Okay.
to take lunch. And the young lady, I was looking at the containers, and she said, "Oh, you should get those over there. They work really well. I bought them for myself." I said, "Oh, great." So I told her, I said, that was excellent customer service and salesmanship, because I probably would not have bought them. But since you did share your experience and you told me that they work good, I'm believing you and I'm purchasing them. And she said to me something about school, because as I said, I was buying these for my daughter for school or something. And so she said, I can't remember where we got on a topic, but it was something that then she said, I really wanted to be a interior designer.
Mm.
I didn't go to school for it, and I think it's too late.
Ooh.
And I said, "Why do you think it's too late?" And I was like, "Girl, please, you way too young to be saying something is too late." I said,
I know that's right. That's also
you have
uh,
your whole life in front of
oh,
you, whole life." And I said, everything doesn't require a 4-year degree. I said,
mhm,
what I'm going to suggest you do, go online and Google programs and certifications for
mhm.
interior design. I said,
Exactly.
you may be able to do a year or a 6-month certification or
Mhm,
a weekend certification that could at least
mhm.
get your foot in the door. I
Exactly.
said, just go for it. And
Mhm.
I do feel we forget that part about ourselves. Like, as long as you are breathing, walking, talking every day, you have all your faculties, and sometimes even if you don't have all your faculties,
That's
if
right.
you have the will to press forward, it's important to remember that the will is there. I do believe that in the Bible, when it says you have everything inside of you,
Mhm,
I believe that is related to the will of what
mhm.
the will of you to do more, to be more, to go after more, to get more, to obtain more, to be more. And I think as long as you know that that's there, you have to just learn how to kind of dip in that well of yourself
Which is
and
true.
dip out
That's
of
right.
it, and empower yourself and fill yourself up with that, I guess, fight and that fire to go
Mhm.
and do that which your heart desires.
Mhm.
Because so many times I think we don't. I think we just kind of settle, or we'll say, I have 4 children already, and I don't have time to do this.
Mhm. That's right. People
And
do sell a
trust,
lot. Mhm.
and I know it's a lot to have 4 children. It's a lot to have a child. It's a
It
lot
is.
to
Oh
have
my God.
4 kids. I don't,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter the number of children. It
No, it
matters,
doesn't.
it matters that there is work to be done, and things that are expectations of you as a mom, as a parent, for each children. So one
Mhm.
child could feel like 20, and 20 could feel like one. But
Exactly.
but the point is that you have to be present. And so it, again, it's another thing of how you show up. So
You
I
do. I
just
mean,
think it's
because you
important.
have to make that decision. Like I have a quote that says, "You create your life, and God brings the paint and the brush."
Beautiful.
And and it's important because to me, like how I felt about my life is like I would have had babies up until 45 was my cutoff date
Mm-hmm.
age to
Mm-hmm.
have children.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt I had all this time. And I think my idea of age comes from my mom who adopted me. When she adopted me, she was 42.
Mm-hmm.
And I was raised with all of her and her sisters, and she had older sisters. Like we're getting ready to go to Savannah. My aunt's getting ready to turn 97. She still drives. She
Mm-hmm.
lives by herself. My other aunt just turned 92,
Mm-hmm.
and she does the same thing. And so to me, I can see they start maybe slowing down, maybe
Yes.
around 80, 81, 82. So
Mm-hmm.
I look at like I got so much further to go in my life, you
Yes.
know, because that's how I think about that.
Yes.
So I was like thinking like even though I write it down or have goals, if those goals, because like we make plans but God makes alterations.
What? He is the greatest alterator
Yes.
there is.
Yeah. So just when you
Yes.
think, so I mean I make them, but I don't like I have to live by them because he's gonna come in and something's gonna get altered. That's just the way it
That's
goes,
right.
you know.
Absolutely.
And so and that's okay. You learn to go with that flow, as long as you reach your goal. And then sometimes as you go through life and as you get older, sometimes those goals change, and that's all right too, as
Yes.
long as you feel good about that, because we all have ideas, like just like both of us, we had intended to be married forever,
Right.
to death do us part. Well,
Yeah.
that doesn't work now, but now you're just done. No, you're not done. You
No.
have to now create a whole nother life for yourself.
Right.
And that's a big thing to do, but it can be done. You can't. And I know people that once they had children, and they just lost themselves. I know
Yes.
people that got divorced and they just lost themselves. You
Right.
need not lose yourself just because you had a child, just because you had a husband, or now that you're divorced. You should feel bad about yourself. When I was going, you had to go to some of these classes getting divorced. And these people were gravitating to me like, how are you handling that? Look at you. I said, because it's a process. I mean, I didn't, I shared with them what I knew, but that's just what I knew internally inside of myself, that now I'm no longer, Stephanie Deani Davenport. I'm Stephanie Deani Green. And
Mhm.
that's who I am. And
Right.
I feel good about that. It's nothing bad about that. It's nothing bad about being, single again. But some people will try to make you feel bad about it or think you should feel bad about it. And you shouldn't feel bad about it because you cannot make something work that's not working. And then you cannot take that wasn't working for you and build your whole life around your children and then don't allow them to have their own life either. That's
Exactly.
not fair to your children. You can't live vicariously through them. You have to let them have their own life and make their own decisions because they have all their dreams and aspirations that don't include you.
Right.
I mean, you gave birth to them, but it's about what they want to do for their life. And
Correct.
that's important. You know what I mean? They have to soar, just like you had to soar away from your family. So it's so many different opportunities for us. You have to look for them, you have to pray for them, and you have to ask God, okay, this is what I thought. I'll go off into the sunset. My kids go to college. Me and my husband have our time back. We'll do this, we'll do that. Well, now there is no husband. But the
Right.
kids are still going off to college.
Right.
So now what do you do?
Right.
Now it's like an opportunity, it's like a rebirth
Yes. Yes.
of you. And
Absolutely.
so that, and you start writing that new script. You be like, oh yeah, I can do this. Now here we are. We have our podcast.
Yes.
A new
Absolutely.
script. Okay, yeah, exactly. So it's exciting. It's so many different things. But I do, well, like you were saying, like when you met the young lady, and I meet people that are so stuck, like, oh, I'm 50 years old, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what, girl, you young.
Absolutely.
Like, as I got older, like when I was in my 20s, 45 was my cutoff date for a baby. As I got older, 50 became my cutoff date.
Yes.
If I didn't have, so it's like you're still so young. But
Yes.
some people just don't realize that, which is sad.
Well, something you just said was that when you were married, you were Stephanie Deani Davenport, and now you're Stephanie Deani Green. But here's the
Exactly.
thing: you're always Stephanie Deani Green. That's who
Oh
you.
yeah, that's
That's
true
who
now.
you were born. That's who you were born as. And
Right, right.
and so
Well,
that's
not me. I wasn't born as that, but really,
okay. Well, that's where that's what we forget sometimes,
Mhm,
that we were born a person with
mhm,
this name and these characteristics and this fire and these goals and these dreams and visions. And so there are times in our life that yes, we absolutely have to go back and kind of remember from whence
mhm,
I came. We have to go
mhm,
back and remember when I used to be a kid and I would, make clothes together or stitch clothes together or make clothes for my
mhm.
dolls or whatever. Or I decided that I was going to be a runway model and
Uh,
and so the thing is that I think one of the things people get stuck is because what it looked like when you were 10 or what it looked like when you were 20 may not look like the same thing at 40. But then
exactly.
what you have to do is look at it through the glasses of 40.
Mhm,
Look at it
exactly.
through the
This is true.
glasses of 30 and then
Mhm,
figure out how you move it along with as much of the originality of what you had. But remember, with maturity comes change. And
hello.
so now with the change means that it should go higher, it should go better, it should be better, it could be bigger than what your 10-year-old mind had, or even your 20-year-old mind saw or envisioned it as. So it's
Mhm,
important that we do not get stuck in even the visions that we have, because it was a vision and it
mhm.
doesn't mean that the vision cannot happen. But again, you may need to make alterations to the
Exactly.
vision in
Exactly.
order to get the vision to be a complete outfit now.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
it's important not to forget that. I mean, life is building blocks. Life
It
has
is.
building blocks. Like, I'm a shoe lover. Like, I
Well, there
love
you go.
shoes.
But
We
just like right now,
love
I'm having a major hot flash on camera.
I see you over there. You had
You know,
you had the whole glowing thing going on.
this is real.
This see, for our viewers, this is real life right here. You see,
That's right.
it just came on in. It was
I
like,
know.
hey girl, hey.
How you doing? Here I am, but I've been flashing all day.
It's
But
like,
they're real.
he's like, hey girl, hey, let me just come on and interrupt while you're doing your thing. Let me just remind you, right, of where you
Uh,
are in life.
exactly. Literally where you are in
Yeah,
life.
where you are in life. But you see what I mean? It's the reality of who we are, where we are in our lives. But
Mhm.
you don't allow those things to like put the stop sign up and be like, oh my God, I'm 57, I'm 56, and I haven't done this, that, and the other. If for me, every year becomes it's not even every year, it could be every 6 months. For me, sometimes when I start to feel like, well, what are you gonna do next? Like
Mhm.
after I've accomplished something, I'm like, well, now what's next? What are we
Mhm.
doing next? What are you adding to your hat? What are you adding to who you are as a person, right? What are you doing to be impactful in this life, and not just in your life, and not just your children's
That's
life,
right.
not just your spouse's life, or not just your family's life, but in the world? How do
Mhm.
you show up, right? I
Mhm.
always say, I used to joke about when I got to heaven and get to the gates of heaven. And I would say, God's going to say, okay, I'm going to need you to step aside for a moment because I have to have a consultation with you, right?
Uh,
And I said that for many years. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to stop saying that
mhm.
because God loves me just as who I
Mhm.
am.
Exactly.
He has forgiven me, and I have
Mhm.
forgiven myself. But more
Mhm.
importantly, God is concerned, what am I doing what you created me to do?
Exactly.
That's where God lives for me. It is,
That's
am
your
I
purpose.
doing what right? Am I walking in my divine purpose? Am I walking
Exactly.
in my destiny? Am I walking
Mhm.
in the authority in which He placed inside of me to give back to the world and to so let His light shine through me?
Mhm.
Right. And so
That's
I
right.
think this is where, you get down to the nuts and the bolts. It's not
Mhm.
so much about how much, it's not about how much money I made,
Nope.
you
Not
know,
at all.
it's not about how many degrees I have.
Nope. Not
It's
at
not
all.
about how many titles I own or how many,
Mhm.
how many accolades I get. It is really
Mhm.
about, where is your impact? How do you
Mhm.
show up in the world?
That's
Right?
right.
What
And make a
what
difference.
and right, and make a positive difference. I tell people all the time, you can be two types of people. You can be a person that when you walk into the room goes dark, or when you walk into the room, the light comes up.
Lights up.
That's the
Lights
person I
up.
want to be. I want to walk into the room and the light comes up. And that is
Mhm.
not in conceit. That is
Yeah.
that you are bringing a
That great
positive
energy. That's right.
energy into a space. When you walk
Mhm.
into a space, the energy should shift
Mhm.
and the negativity should run fast.
That's right.
And so that's about
Yeah.
me. You have to figure out, how do you show up? What's the
Mhm.
impact you want to have? I think it's
Let me tell
really
you, I have so
important.
many things on my plate that I want to do. I'm like, I hope I live long enough to do them all. I want to do this. I want to do it. I'm just so excited about life, because it
Um,
is exciting.
it is.
Like I say, in one of my quotes I have, like, you think that your life is the same every day. No
No,
day
Liz. No, it's not.
it's not at all. You know what I mean?
Every
And
day is a new day.
every day is a new day, and every day, like people say, when you want to do, oh, not this Saturday, but next Saturday.
Right.
And okay, not a problem. There are a lot of Saturdays, but it's not the Saturday before last is dead. It's never coming back.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You
It
can't
doesn't
do anything
matter.
about it. You can't go back and adjust it. You
You
can't
can't go
change
back. It's
anything
not,
about it. I mean, it's just
Yep.
like we cannot change the second that just passed.
Exactly. Not at all. Not at
You know?
all.
And
Not at
so
all.
even
You
even
cannot
in the
change
daytime
the
when this stuff
times of
happens.
the clock.
Yeah,
It's true.
exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? You can't, but people go, oh, it's the, like, when you're trying to do things like us being realtors, be like, well, not this weekend, but next weekend. Oh, because it's the same. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's
Because the
different.
house, trust me, in this market,
That's,
it won't
that's
be there
right.
tomorrow. It won't be
That's
at the end of this day.
exactly. All
And
right. So
that's
it's
how you
totally,
have to
totally
live.
different.
That's how you have to look at life.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need to make a decision, take
Mm-hmm.
your shot.
That's right.
If you spend your life with the I coulda, I shoulda,
I shoulda.
I woulda, I wisha, I hadda, I did, baby, you need to
Yep.
get rid of all of them folks in your life. woulda,
You'll be
coulda, shoulda.
sadly mistaken about all those things. You're gonna miss out on a lot of things.
You're gonna miss out on a lot of things. And if
Mhm,
you are the person where you spend so much time processing it, analyzing it, breaking it down,
mhm.
overthinking it,
That's right.
you are
Always in your
still,
head.
I want you to know that is being stuck.
It is.
Because what happens in the over analyzation is that you never make a decision.
Or if everything has to be perfect, just like us.
Oh,
You said, "Oh, we're gonna have a trial, the trial run." You said, "Let's do a trial tape." I'm like, "Okay." And you're gonna call me later. You know, I posted it. I'm like, "Oh my god!" But
yes,
it's true. You have to take a leap of faith.
a
You know,
leap of faith.
and then we could have been like, "Oh, we gotta take time. We're gonna edit this with like this raw." You know,
No,
we don't have all that much time. We're just gonna put it out there.
because this is how life comes at you, fast,
It's so true.
fast and furious. And while you're
Mhm.
sitting there going, well, wait a minute now, let me get this. Now, don't get me wrong. There are moments that you have to step back. You
Of
got to
course,
take some time
of
out.
course.
You have to process. You have to
Mhm.
think. I get it. But
Gotta meditate.
you can't do that with you just can't take that time on everything.
Mhm.
It was interesting. My news source is the Today Show. I love the Today Show.
Okay.
And
Oh,
so,
you got me looking at the Today Show on a whole different thing because I'm upset about Lori. I don't understand what happened with Lori. And that's a Today Show with Scotto, right?
with who?
With oh no,
No,
no. The Today Show is with Al Roker.
that is correct.
Okay, I was
Yes.
on Fox. Okay.
Okay. So I have always wanted to parachute. I've always wanted to jump out of a plane.
Okay.
I had one, and I wanted to do it when I was 40, when I was going to turn 40. And my mom was
Mhm.
like, absolutely not. I am not raising your kids. I'm not doing it. So you cannot do it.
Uh,
Okay. So I didn't do it. Well, fast forward, uh, Jenna Hager Bush,
uh,
granddaughter
uh,
of um,
yeah. George
um,
W. George
George
W.
W.
Bush,
Bush Sr.
one of the twins.
Yes. So last weekend he would have been, what did she say, 97 or 98? This would have been
Oh,
his
George Bush, her
yeah.
grandfather.
Yes,
Mhm.
George Bush would have a senior would have been 98 last
Mhm.
week for his birthday. So in celebration and in memory of him, she decided she would jump out of the plane. Now,
Wow.
she had done it when she was 17. She says, now, of course, the 17-year-old and now the 40-year-old has a whole different mindset about this jumping out of this plane.
They're 40?
But yeah, she's 40. I
The
think,
twins are 40? That's
yes,
amazing.
ma'am. And so she said, so of course, now she jumped out of this plane with the US Army, commander folks. So she is, she's strapped to him, but she did the jump. Now she was talking about a grandfather, talking about how great this was going to be. Now, of course, she was nervous. She was very nervous. She talked about how she had conversation with her husband, like if anything happens, da 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 da. But she jumped, and they recorded the whole entire jump. So when she jumped, and she was just screaming, but she was screaming like in joy, not in fear, not anything. And then she says it was like floating to earth.
Mm.
And then she was saying, and she's like, this was so spiritual because it was like you were just so close to God. And so
Wow.
that is how I've always felt like that I have wanted, because when I was younger, I used to always have these dreams that I was flying, not flying, that I was soaring over
Mm.
the earth, right?
Mhm.
And I
Uh-huh.
want so bad to do this. But you should have seen me in front of that TV last week cheering for Jenna, like, yes, Jenna, as if I knew Jenna personally. But it just reminded me that somewhere, somehow, this girl is taking that leap of faith.
Mm.
Because I always do things with the purpose of it's an overcoming moment, you know. And I think, it's like when people talk about going to the mountaintop, there's a hill in my neighborhood that is it's like this. It's steep, right? When you go
Wow.
up, you're going up the hill, you're like this, like, but whenever I'm challenged with something, I
You
go
go up
up
that
that
hill.
hill. I run up that hill, I pant up that hill, and then I get to the top of that hill. And I remember when I first started doing that hill, the first time I went up that hill, I thought I was going to pass out. But I went to the top of that hill. When I got to the top of the hill, I just got on my knees and prayed.
Mm.
Now I can run up that hill.
Wow.
I can run up that hill. I can walk up that hill. Now, of course, that hill reminds me that because I don't do that hill every day and I don't do it on a regular,
Mhm.
it gets harder, right?
Mhm. Of
Because
course.
you
Right,
haven't
right.
done it. That's life. When
That's
you
right.
sit back and you don't do stuff on a regular and you
Mhm.
don't condition your body and you don't condition your mind and your spirit and your soul to do these new things, then you're at the bottom of that hill looking up going, maybe not today. Or you're afraid that you're going to go and get halfway, or you're only going
Mhm.
to make it, a quarter of the hill. But that's all right. If you only make it a quarter, then go to quarter, turn around,
Mhm.
come back another day. Maybe you'll make it the next quarter and you'll make it the next quarter. That's life. And I
Yep.
always say you have to find that thing in your life that inspires you to inspire you.
Mhm. You're
You
right.
And sometimes it's the simplest of things. It's the simplest of things. Running a marathon. I had never been a runner until I turned 50 years old. And at 50 years old, I decided to do my first 5K. I've done a 5K, I've done a 15K. I said I was going to do a half marathon one day, but I have since I turned 50, I have ran at least 12 runs.
Wow, that's wonderful.
And I had never been a runner, never considered myself a runner. But that's what I mean. You have to just keep recreating
Mhm.
oneself. It's important to
Exactly. It's so true. You're so true. Yeah.
yeah.
I know my kids make me want to just keep reinventing myself.
Right.
Just for the fact that because I really started as they got older, I started implementing more things for me to do,
Yes.
you know, and that's why like I wasn't just like I was still in that same place from when they were like, 2, 3, and 4. I was in a totally different place by the time they turned, 10, 11, and 12. So
Absolutely.
the older they got, the more I got back into me
Yes.
and all the things that I wanted for myself. And that's what you have to do because you wait for that last moment to still be there all the time on call for your children.
Yes.
And now they go away to college. You do sit there like, what do I do now?
Right. It absolutely.
You have to start
Absolutely.
weaning yourself. Just like they wean
Yes.
off of you, you have
Yeah.
to wean off of them. You know what I mean?
It's
And it's
very
so funny that things that I did for my children, as I stopped doing those things for them, I did not miss them. You know, I'm not gonna lie. When once they was able to get up and cook their own breakfast, and get their own selves to school, that was great for me. And then they made their lunch and everything. I just had all the stuff that whatever they wanted, however they put it together, and they got it done. And it's so funny. My son had to order his transcript for his new job. And
yes.
I thought when it came, because when he graduated from high school last year, 2020, we had like the drive-by graduation.
Yes.
And when I just opened it up, and I always see his report cards, they were good students. And I said the same thing. I said, I didn't know that you always had all honors classes from the time that you were in ninth grade. I know he had some, he didn't like 11, 12, he had all these AP classes. But not only that, the one thing that amazed me more than anything, that in 4 years of high school, he only missed one day of school.
Amazing.
One day of school. This boy, I said to him, I said, you only missed one day of school. And that's because I have to go on a college tour with Savannah. That's why I missed it. And I didn't want to go. But he missed that one day of school because he loves
Yes.
school. But as they got, I mean, my son started washing his own clothes at 5. my daughter at 7 because they're 2 years apart. So what she did, so he did it a little bit earlier.
Right.
I did not miss washing their clothes, you know. I was like, after, you know, that was good. And boy, when they got their cars, I was like, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. Because my daughter would drive him to school, but then he had that 1 year because he still didn't have his driver's license yet. So he was
Yes.
back up the school bus. Then his senior year, he started driving to school, and that was okay with me too. But I know parents that be like, oh, I miss taking him to school. Like, I don't. I didn't miss taking them to school. I didn't miss standing outside with all the other parents and collect your kids. I lived in those moments.
Yes.
So I enjoyed it for whatever that time it was.
Right.
But I didn't like look at this like this was going to be my forever life. You
Absolutely.
know, just like them being babies. Like, you know, oh, I wish they were, you know, I couldn't imagine changing Pampers for the rest of my
Oh God. Yes.
life. Or keep having babies. You know, like I have a cousin, you know, she got 6 kids because she loves the baby stage. Like that's how I enjoyed the baby stage, you know, and I enjoyed coming up out of the baby stage too.
Yes. Yes.
You know, because it's something I know when I first had my daughter, and it used to take me forever to get out of the house. You know what I mean? And you know, I always had to put myself together. And I made a vow to myself, okay, if I get out of the house at 7 o'clock at night, I'm gonna get out this house, put myself together. And you know, because people kept saying to me, oh, first I was never gonna get the body I had back. You never
Yes.
gonna get that
Yes.
body again.
Yes.
And then they would say to me, oh, you're not gonna be able to wear those heels, you're not gonna do this, you're not gonna do
Mhm.
that. And I had to still look in the mirror and see myself.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I don't know because you know I modeled for a long time. That's how I put myself through school modeling. And when my kids were little, this girl, babe, she said to me, can you please come out on this show? We need another model. And you know, and I never really thought about that since I had children. But it was like I could still do that, you know, if I wanted to do that. You know,
Yes.
I went and modeled in the show and helped out. Show, thank you so much. You still, you know, whatever. Even I moved on from that. But it was just like you still have to see yourself, put yourself together. And I see people that just stop for whatever reason. Or I have to look like a mother. Well, who says what a mother looks like?
Yes.
You
Absolutely.
know what I mean? You are who
Absolutely.
you are. Yeah, I mean, now I can honestly say, like, now it's funny. My daughter, especially when I was getting divorced and whatever, my daughter go shopping. She tried to pull out these hoochie dresses for me. I'm like, yeah, mommy can't wear that. Oh, mommy, you got a nice body. I said, just because my body says I can wear it, don't
Yeah.
mean I
Mommy's
should wear
not
it.
wearing that.
So, no, I'm not wearing that. You
Yeah.
know, nah,
And I'm not really sure. And I'm not really sure I want you to wear that either.
exactly. But it's like, no, you know,
Yeah.
but you have to know who you are. I mean, you can, like, I
Absolutely.
have this thing with dressing for your body type and dressing, not necessarily for your age, but that you don't want to go around looking like a tart. You know, just
Yeah.
because you got a 20-year-old's body, don't mean you should be
Don't
wearing
mean
the
you
clothes
need
a
to put on.
20-year-old
Yeah.
wear, you know.
Absolutely.
And then there are some things that cross over, you know, also.
Yeah.
So, like, because me and my daughter, and like, I'm 36 years older than my daughter. So there are some things that she wears I can wear too
Right.
and don't look crazy in it.
Right.
But I know what that is, you
Right.
know. And at the same time, I'm still dressing for my body type, you
Yes.
know, because like I say, was within fashion, everything is not for everybody.
Nope. And just because it come in your size don't mean it's for you.
I mean, it's for
My
you.
mom
No,
always used to say that just because the man made it don't mean it's for you.
it doesn't mean it's for you, you
And
know.
one size fit all is a lie. So please.
It is a lie. It is a lie. But you better know who you are, and then people get lost. But getting back to something that you said about, you know, when I was saying that now I'm Stephanie Deani Green. No, I definitely always knew I was Stephanie Deani Green. It was just like going through that whole thing, like deciding to actually change my name back. And it
Mm-hmm.
was, and, you know, I always think about that because I was running so hard from Green, you know, and just didn't even hyphen because I was like, oh, because you know, when my husband, he, he has his biological parents because I didn't. I always felt a ways about the name Green,
Mm.
and my name was Green. Uh, I used the name Green from the time I was like 3 years old, but I was never really a Green. I
Mm.
just used the name.
Okay.
Actually, I didn't make my name. I didn't even cover Green until I was 14.
Okay.
So, and I was a Hill. But all the names that I had, I felt at that time that they weren't authentic to me.
Got it.
So then when I married him, I'm like, oh, this is his authentic name. So I was so happy to have it. But
Yes.
then it was so crazy that it wasn't even a thought that once the marriage is over, I'm like, oh, I'm green. I'm back in. It wasn't a thought. Okay. It was
Right.
so weird. As people say, oh, because of the kids. No, because the kids are still going to call me Mrs. Davenport. Or when I was going to the school, they're still, and that's okay. And
Right.
I feel secure in myself because I've seen people like, that's not my name. Like, I'm like, I'll still answer to that name. It's not a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
But we were somewhere, and was my daughter still in school? Because I started using the name before the divorce. We were somewhere, but it was something to do with her. And somebody called me Mrs. Davenport. She said her last name is Green. I never forget that. I was like, okay, Savannah,
So, see how they show up for you? Don't you love
they
it?
show up for you. They
And
show
don't you
up
love it
for
when they
you.
show up for you?
They
Yeah.
do, but it's like you have to, it's always in you, but you have to want to, like you said, bring that out of you. And
Yeah.
I do, and I like to empower women, which is what we're doing. And
It's
we both
exactly.
empower women,
Yeah.
with our stories and with, the things that we are achieving and things that we do. Because I feel bad when I see a woman that's just there and you can see that they just missed out on so much, or they're like, I'm bored, you know what I mean? Even I may feel bored one day, I'm gonna make up and make something happen, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Whatever it takes,
Yes.
because I'm my own best friend, I'm my own company, I'll just like, I
Absolutely.
don't, I'm never lonely, you know what I mean? So I could always find something to do. Just like you saying last night, you was looking for something to watch. That's why I love like my DVR, have all my favorite movies on there. I can light them up anytime I get ready.
Well,
So
actually,
I don't
I
really.
needed to go to sleep last night. I
Oh,
just
I need to go
like
sleep. So I didn't
I
even
was
cut my
just like,
TV
forget it.
off
I'm going
on
to
actually.
bed.
Yeah, my TV is really rarely on now in my bedroom because I'm so busy doing things. By
Right.
the time I get, I just want to go to sleep. But it's like you have to, whatever it takes. You know what I mean, to get yourself up and running and move because you can sit
That's
there and be
right.
like, you got to do whatever it takes to keep you moving.
Right.
That's why, like when you said, like with the whole thing with Oprah honoring our kings, because I very rarely watch
Hmm.
live TV. So I
Understood.
don't see the live TV and all this kind of stuff because I'm usually in a space that I just need, even if I'm not watching background, so something I already saw. So I never really get a chance to watch a lot of new stuff. But yes, you have to do whatever it takes so you could be a woman of substance.
That's right. Because a woman of substance is a woman of a many facets of things. So please always remember that.
It is. It
Remember,
is.
a woman of
Women are just phenomenal.
we are phenomenal, and
We
women
are.
of substance are women of we are layers, baby. Don't ever
Yes, we
forget.
are. Yes, we are.
There is not just one scope to a woman. There are
Hmm.
so many facets of us. There's so many um images of us, and even one woman, like Shaka Khan
Oh,
says,
yes.
I am
That's right.
every woman. I
That's
am
right. That's
every
right.
woman
That's
because
right.
we as women, we are chameleons. We can
Hmm.
change
Can't
to
we?
be whatever the situation calls us to be.
Yes,
The
that's right.
problem sometimes, though, with that changing is
Hmm.
sometimes we forget that that's not our real role.
Hmm. That's right. Yeah.
Or sometimes we change into that role and we never come back to who we are.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, from that perspective, that's the danger. But we are
Hmm.
gifted, we are
Yes, we are.
beautiful, we are
Hmm.
amazingly
Hmm.
productive, and we are
That's right.
able to do anything our heart desire, and we put our mind and
Hmm.
our soul and our
And we put
spirit,
our mind to.
and we put
For
our
sure.
hands to. Like
Uh-huh.
I said, I pray daily that the Lord
Hmm.
blesses the work of my hands
That's
because
right.
everything I touch, I want it to be blessed. I want it to be
Hmm.
good. I want it to be prosperous. I want it to be everything. I want it to be a gift. So you have to remember that. And one thing I think I didn't say about, you know, walking in your truth, you got
Hmm.
to learn how to pray over yourself. You got to learn how to speak life into yourself and into your life. Um,
Hmm.
you know, like these days, everybody's an influencer and all these things. And I'm not knocking any of
No,
those
not at all.
things, but all my life I have been the person, a woman, to look into a mirror and tell myself that I was beautiful,
Mhm.
to tell myself that I was able, to tell myself that I was capable. Now, of course, there were moments in my life that though I told myself that, I wasn't walking in it, or I wasn't believing what I was telling my own self. So that's
Mhm.
possible and that happens. But you
Mhm.
must always remember to come back to your true self,
It's
to
true.
remember who you were truly created to be, and that you have so many gifts, that there are layers to you. There will be moments in life where you may not be operating in all of your gifts, but don't forget that you do and you are a gift. And so it's just
That's right.
important to speak over yourself, to encourage yourself, and to keep yourself around people who encourage you and who keep you
That's true.
uplifted. You
Mhm.
know, if you are spending time with people who, whenever you open your mouth or whenever you say, I was thinking that I was going to do, and they go, what? Are you crazy?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that'll
You
never
can't do
work.
that.
You can't
Mhm.
do that. What you
Mhm.
going to do with them kids?
Be
What
like
you do
deuces,
with your
baby. They gotta
husband?
go.
Yeah, you need to be like, deuces, is nice knowing you.
Exactly.
I
That's
got
right.
to
That's
go.
right.
This is why
Got
they
to
tell
go.
you be careful who you share your dreams with, because there are
Right.
dream killers out here.
That's right.
They will
Yes,
kill
they will.
your
They will steal
dreams.
your dream.
They or they will steal your. They are dream snatchers too. You are absolutely right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So be
I never
mindful
forget.
of that.
I had when we moved into the other house we lived in. I was 8 months pregnant with Savion, and one of my girlfriends was like, she was like saying that I should do something really different with my floors because we bought it from this couple. Actually, the husband, they never had any children. The husband was a race car driver,
Okay.
and they had all these different medians. They had like this ugly tile in the foyer. They had all the white carpet everywhere else. And
Hmm.
then you walk in the kitchen, had this ugly linoleum, whatever. So I was really thinking about doing some like the marble floors with the inlaid wood. They had that going at the time, all these different
Hmm.
things. So I was, then, talking to my husband, and he was like, he really didn't like the idea, but I could see him coming around.
Hmm.
And this lady that I used to be friends with, she came over one day, and I never forget, Savion maybe was like 2 weeks old. And I was just holding him like this, we were sitting on the steps. And I was telling her, so, and then my husband was saying to her, like, I don't think that's a good idea. She's like, oh, let me tell you, because my parents had marble all in their house on the floor. And one day I fell and hit my head and I was out and I didn't wake up for 2 days.
Oh
I just
wow.
looked at her. So yeah, first of all, I didn't believe that, whatever. But he said, see, that's why we got little children. You don't need that on the floor, whatever. Let me tell you, she had moved into her new home also, maybe like a month or two after we did. And so when I went to her house, what did she have on her floor?
Marble with wood trimming around the edge.
No, she didn't do it was because it was gonna be like inlaid and wood in between, like like
Yes.
the wood, like the grout kind of thing. But no,
Yeah.
she had marble. That's why she didn't want me to get it.
Oh, see,
I was like,
dream,
oh, so
dream
I see what
snatchers. Dream
yeah, exactly.
snatchers.
Exactly. And maybe not that she maybe had the plan, but she's like, well, I know what I'm getting, so you can't get that. But
Mm,
I don't like feel like that. You know what I mean? If you say just like my girlfriend, she was like, I wanted a new car, and I was trying to think what I was gonna get. And I said, I think I want that Porsche. And she said, that's what I got. Yeah, get it. It's a good car. You're gonna like it. She wasn't like, oh no, you can't get it because I got it and all this
right.
kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think like that with anything. You know what I mean? Because first of all, I feel that we all bring our own energy to whatever it is, even if it's a dress. You
Exactly.
know, I really don't care.
Well, I'm
It
sorry,
doesn't.
Stephanie. I'm gonna disagree with you on that one because I'm not gonna show up with the same dress on.
Well, you may not intentionally, but I'm just saying that if you did, because then if you or your friends, I never forget, I went to my kid's godmother. She used to give a pink party every year.
Yes, I
And
remember the
I
pink
went,
party.
right, you remember, right? Now
Uh,
she gives it down. She has a place in Florida. Now she gives it a place in Florida. But however, 5 people showed up with the same pink dress. You know, and it's so funny because I saw the dresses. I know everybody got the dress from Bloomingdale's, but I would always make my dress. So it was never going to have a dress on like
Right.
mine. But it was like so fun. But nobody was really offended because it's not really a lot of pink dresses that are really nice. But everybody had the same pink dress on. They all look great in the dress. But I'm just saying, like, if just like you and I, we went somewhere, had the same thing. Not that we showed up with the same thing. We're like, I got that too. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
surprise.
Okay.
Or you have
We would
some
be fine. But yeah.
exactly. But just like the other day, you said, I got that elephant. Remember we had the elephant? You said, I
Yes.
got the same
Yes.
elephant.
We both
You
had
know,
that.
so right. But some people like it's just gonna be whatever it is, it's gonna be different. You know, I don't think
Yeah,
like that.
because
You know what I mean?
because it's in my house and my design. It's at your house and your design. So yeah,
Right.
it's
But
not.
it's like some people saying, "Oh, where did you get those shoes from?" You know, I'll tell you like where I got the shoes from. It's not a big deal. You know, oh, because I
Mhm.
like those shoes. Okay. You know, I mean, you do have some people. I know another group of friends. They have a girl in their group. They call her Xerox because she's copying
Yours
everything.
copy. Oh, that's good. I like that. Oh,
It's called
Xerox. Oh, I
Xerox.
love that.
She
That's
copies
hilarious.
everything that everybody
I'm
else does. Like
I'm
she just
sorry,
did now.
dear. That's kind of funny though.
That's logo right there. I'll be like, oh, okay, you know, but
Xerox. How weird.
it's
Oh,
like having your own mind and
yeah,
what you could be. That's not part of knowing who you are
yeah.
because that
Create
goes back to the
yourself.
same
Create
exactly
create the best version of yourself.
and making and the best version of yourself should show up every single day.
And you
But that
have
goes
the
back to those
ability to
people
change that version whenever you want. That's
whatever
the
you
great
want,
thing about it.
whatever
You
you
change
want.
that version whenever you want.
But there are people that what they want to do. I just lost my train of thought really quickly. It'll come back to me. But you do have to show up every day and be the best person that you could be. But some people like to stay in that place. You know what I mean? They don't, for some reason, people, you find comfort in staying in a certain place.
Yes.
They don't wanna, they're scared. They're scared to move. They're scared to go here. They're scared to go there. Whereas I like one of Savannah's other godmothers, and she's like 11 years older than me. This one, she was in her 60s. I think I was having a jewelry show, and I invited her. Oh, it's late. I can't come home late at night. Can't drive by myself. And I was like, praying to God, I hope that will never be me. As long as there's breath in my body, no matter what time it is,
Yes,
I'll
Lord.
go.
Yes, Lord.
Exactly. And get go and come and do what I got to do. I mean, you're talking about like, you're like, I think at times she was maybe like 65. I was like, oh, wow. And, and you feel, for people. But then you kind of look back, like, were they ever really big going places person
Yes.
anyway?
Yes.
So that kind of like goes back to how it was when you were younger. But I do know that when you see somebody that had so much light and they were just moving so much great energy, and then they turn around, now they're in their 50s and they have none of that, that's just like sad. Like
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah. They're just
Because
sitting.
things,
Life is
right.
passing them by and they're doing nothing in life.
Well, because some things could like make you like just like me being brutally raped and attacked. I'm not gonna lie. When I have issues in elevators, do I get into elevator? Absolutely. But I'm constantly aware of my surroundings and what's going on. I don't care
Yes.
where I am. And I
Yes.
like to get into the elevator by myself.
Yes.
I feel the most comfortable. But it's not gonna stop me from getting in the elevator. It's not gonna like, oh, if I want to go up, to the Empire State Building, I got to get in the elevator to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not gonna let that stop me. But certain things will happen. Or just like even when, you get divorced, you know what I mean? The fear is like, why would I get married again? This may happen again. But it may not happen again.
It
So
may
how would
not.
you ever know? You have to take a chance. Everything in life is really taking a chance. You have to go out on faith and knowing that if this is for you, and definitely consult God. We are Christians, for
Yeah.
us, but for whatever that you decide to do, and He will illuminate your path.
Absolutely.
You
All the
know,
time.
yeah, you just
All
have
the
to follow
time,
it. You
anytime.
know,
Anytime you ask, all you have to do is what? Ask, and it shall
Mhm.
be given.
Yes,
Knock,
that's
and
right.
the door shall be open.
Hello,
And
hello. I was
thou
reading that
shalt
scripture the
find.
other day. Exactly. Amen.
It is
I was
true.
reading that scripture the
It is
other day.
very true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. We have to create our happiness because it's like your mind is so powerful.
Yes, it
So
is.
all you put all those things in your mind, and that's what will show up. Because you put
Right.
all those negative things in your mind, like get behind me, Satan. You
Yes.
know, not talk to me.
You
Or,
can
exactly.
manifest things in your life by the thoughts that you have and the
Of
things that you
course.
say. And so it's
Hmm.
important. That's why it's always important to remember, stay positive. And don't
Hmm.
get me wrong. I'm not saying, look, there are times that things happen that it drains you of every positive thought, every happy thought that there could possibly be. And I get that. But I'm
Hmm.
saying have the moment, mourn it, live with it, sit in it, but don't
Hmm.
stay there. That's
Exactly.
all we're saying. Don't stay there. You have to deal with things that come at you. Life comes at you fast and hard and heavy. You know, life is a
Mhm.
beast. It is a beast
Yes, it
that
is.
we must wrestle with every day.
Every day.
However, deal with your stuff, deal with yourself, but just don't sit in the things that are negative. You know, you got to
Mhm.
find your way back out, find the light in your life, find the positive in your life, be with positive people, have positive people around you, and speak positivity into your life, even in those difficult and dark situations that do happen and will happen because why? It's life.
Yeah.
And
And it's how you handle it.
completely unpredictable. It's completely
Exactly.
unpredictable.
And you have to be able to handle it, have emotional intelligence about it. And
Yes.
that's so important. But what I was gonna say before that, I forgot, now I remembered, is that it's the same thing about when people deny their age.
Oh, yeah.
Because you denying your age is like cutting off all those things that you learned in that age,
Oh, yeah.
that you try to pretend to be this age. It says a lot, to say, oh, I don't tell people how old I am or this or
Yes.
that, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
it just sounds ridiculous to me. Now I understand. I know if you're a friend, a guy I used to date when I was in high school years ago, and he went off to college, and showed up the first week in college, called me and broke up with me. He said, like, I'm at Howard, I'm the top of you, I got it. But anyway, we reconnected just like I don't think we actually physically talked. I ran into one of his friends and he was saying to me that quickly, he said to me, like, if I saw him, I didn't even see him. He lives in Virginia, but he doesn't want anybody to know how old he is at his
Mm.
job because they think he's a lot younger than what he is, and he's like 3 or 4 years older than me. But it was like, and I think, okay, that's different. That's your job, Like they have that TV show out called Younger. Have you ever heard of it?
No. And it could, and no. And it's probably based on, yeah, because there is age discrimination in the
Yeah,
workplace.
it can work, right.
I
So
can
there's
understand that.
and the TV show is, I never watched it. Like then I don't watch them, but I read about them, or it comes across one of the blogs I listen to, and basically it's based on a lady having to go back into the field. She got a divorce and everything, so she's pretending to be 10 years younger than what she is.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. In order to work in this field, but outside of that, you know, otherwise just to go around. That's why nobody knows how old I am, and I'm this and I'm that. Well, what's up with that? This is so odd to me.
Yeah.
I
I,
own
I've
every.
always said that too, because, when we were growing up, they would say it's rude to ask a woman her age. And I was like, well, why? But
Mm,
don't know, don't care. I'm happy to say I am 56 years old, and I'm gonna say like Whitney Houston say, and I still look good.
like I know. I'm 56, but I will be 57 July
Yeah,
26th.
yes, you
Okay,
will. So, but
exactly.
but we still look
Yes,
good now.
and look good and feel good. It comes from the inside out. But
That's
that's just like
right.
with my. But you got to ask the guys too, because my mom that raised me and her sisters, they all tripped. So my mother used to date this guy, and he was like the best guy. I really liked him. I was grown, when she started dating him. And so she was like, "Oh, we're gonna go out to dinner and we're gonna celebrate his birthday." And I said, "Okay." So I said, his name was Arthur, like just like my cousin. So I was like, my girl, and Mr. Arthur, I said, like, how old are you? I think he said, oh, I turned 45. My mother said she could have just, she said she could have just flipped out. Not inside, because at that time my mother was like 70.
Oh, she didn't
But
know how old he
you
was.
know how old he
See,
was?
that's why people should
Yeah,
reveal their ages. There you go.
and,
That's
my,
a prime
and they,
example.
but they have been dating for like a year.
Wow. And she
She
never
had,
asked.
well, she might have felt he was a little younger than her. but she had no idea he was that much younger.
Wow.
But I was like, you can handle it, because I told you how my aunt, she was like 92 and her boyfriend was 29.
We're not even gonna go there. We're
Oh,
not
honey,
even,
please.
that's a
My
whole,
Tati,
we
my
should have
Tati was
your,
all of that.
we should have your aunt on just so we can have that conversation.
Well, yes, unfortunately, no, she passed. She lived
Oh,
to be
that's the one that
100.
passed
Yeah,
away. Okay, yeah.
yeah. But she,
Yeah,
she was
I
like,
would have
yes,
loved to
ma'am.
have a conversation with her.
Oh, honey,
92
even when
and
she
the
started
boyfriend's
slowing
29.
down, and she wouldn't have that much conversation, but you start talking about a man, honey, you know.
Light my fire, baby. Light my fire.
Exactly. And she ran, she did her own thing. She was
I
one of
love
those
it.
phenomenal women.
Well, that's why they
Exactly.
say age is just a number.
It is, but
So,
I wouldn't touch that.
no, neither would I, but nonetheless.
No.
Well, I want to say that I think this has been a very enlightening. And even though I just want you all to know that we don't or what do you say, prep for
Exactly.
for
No.
our for our podcast. Like, we literally get on and we may discuss a topic, but we don't go into the details. And so that's why we always say, like, there's no editing here. This is raw. This is straight from the heart. Two grown women having a conversation about real life situations. And so we hope that you appreciate our honesty and our vulnerability when we're, sharing with you guys. So we want to thank you so much for joining us today, as always. And please share. As we tell you all the time, Stephanie and I are both life coaches. I can be reached at IDO, which actually is I do love coaching at gmail.com. And Stephanie can be reached at
mymentor.life/Stephanie Deani Green.
Awesome. And of course, you can listen to us on Spotify under The Autopsy of Her, Healing, Evolving, Resiliency. And now you can also go and see us on YouTube. So you can actually see our beautiful faces and laugh with us when we're laughing and carrying on and cutting up. So we just want you to share, feel free. And we are actually considering that we're going to start something new where it's going to be conversations with
Iris and
Stephanie. So if you're interested in joining us for conversations with Iris and Stephanie, please reach out to either one of us via our emails or go to our sites and drop us a note. We'd be happy to hear from you guys. So just want to say you all have a blessed week. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your day. We love you all. It was so great to spend this time with you all, and we wish you well. Steph?
Thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening to us and spending time with us. We enjoy every minute of it.
Every minute. Every minute.
Of our conversations. Bye-bye. Bye, honey.
Bye.
Love you too.